Let me read you once again, and we always refer back to this because it's just really important. This is Bertrand Russell, The Impact of Science on Society. Everyone should read this. Easy read, short book. This is page 45, chapter Scientific Technique and Oligarchy. Scientific, and let me tell you when this was written, just to give you some context. Can't remember off the top of my head. 1952. Yes, 1952, guys. Scientific societies are as yet in their infancy. It may be worthwhile to spend a few moments in speculating as to possible future developments of those that are oligarchies, what we're living in right now, many, many years later, after he wrote these words. It is to be expected that, and again, for those that aren't familiar with Bertrand Russell, one of the biggest, a logician, but really the greatest American philosopher that ever lived. I don't believe that at all, but this is what most of the machine believes and looks up to. Bertrand Russell played a huge part in the development of scientism through his mathematics and the tome he wrote on mathematics and all of his arguments. Bertrand Russell plays a huge role in the thought process of our systems today, especially our atheistic, scientistic perspectives. Though he's very self-aware, interestingly, when you read his work. It's weird almost. It's like he knows he's talking BS. He almost calls himself out sometimes. It's so interesting. But of course, the lovers of his work and the followers of his philosophies never paid attention to those aspects, it seems. All right. It is to be experienced that advances in physiology and psychology will give governments much more control over individual mentality than they now have even in totalitarian countries. So in the future, physiology and psychology will be used to control populations even more than totalitarian countries of his time. Fichte laid it down that education should aim at destroying free will so that after pupils have left school, they shall be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as their schoolmasters would have wished. We're already there. Generation Alpha right now. Right now, Generation Alpha. Those young kids that are being masked every single day are that population. By the time they're grown, they will be this group that doesn't know how to think for themselves. And I think right now, our populations right now, our schools right now, our generations right now are those generations Russell was speaking about nearly 100 years before it happened. It's creepy reading this book because it's literally like telling us what's going to happen in the future because it's happening. All right. In future such failures, this is the one. Diet, injections, and injunctions will combine. Important, will combine. So diet, what we eat, injections, what's put into our bodies through the medical industry, and injunctions, regulations, combined from a very early age let me start over. Diet, injections, and injunctions will combine from a very early age to produce the sort of character and sort of beliefs that the authorities consider desirable. And any serious criticism of the powers that be will become psychologically impossible. This is an example of this today would be what they call the NPC. Title of the book, The Impact of Science on Society by Bertrand Russell. And there's another one. Actually, no, we don't have time for that. I was going to grab another one of his books that I have. That's great. I'll save that for the next show. Let me finish this here. It won't even be psychologically possible for people to think otherwise. What does that sound like? That sounds like what we're seeing today, doesn't it? With the Covidian cult and everybody who's given evidence in their face about how crazy all of this is, and they just close their ears and close their eyes. Even if all are miserable, this hits hard. Even if all are miserable, all will believe themselves happy because the government will tell them that they are so. It's almost like this guy had some type of time machine. Man, this is the impact of science on society by Bertrand Russell. Let me run that back. Diet, injections, and injunctions will combine from a very early age to produce the sort of character and the sort of beliefs that the authorities consider desirable, and any serious criticism of the powers that be will become psychologically impossible. Even if all are miserable, all will believe themselves happy because the government will tell them that they are so. It's already happening. It's already developing. Let me show you what injunction means for those that don't know. Injunction, the act or an instance of enjoining, a command, directive, or order, or mandate, or restrictions. A law, a court order requiring a party to refrain from doing a particular act, like going into a store without a face covering, like sitting down at a restaurant without showing proof of inoculation, and many others I'm sure you all could come up with. A law, court order requiring a party to refrain from doing a particular act or to do a particular act. The act, they just repeat these things here. Okay. Guys, this is what we've been experiencing for 2 years now. A command, a directive, or order requiring a party to refrain from doing a particular act or to do a particular act. Told that you have to do a certain thing. Not only telling you what you can't do, but also telling you what you must do. Injunctions. Diet, injections, don't have to explain what that is, and injunctions. Again, this is The Impact of Science on Society by Bertrand Russell. One of the blueprints